Hello, today's projects are going to be fresh flowers versus silk flowers, and I'm going to be making a couple of nosegays or wedding bouquets. And so I'm going to use some of these hearts roses, which are my current favorite. Now, I will say the hearts roses are a bit spent. I took them home from the flower shop and they're already pretty wide open, but they hold their leaves pretty well. And so I'm just going to cut them off, make them a little bit shorter. I also have on my screen there some of my knockout roses out of my yard, as well as eucalyptus from my yard. And, I want to encourage you to go around, look at your yard, and see what greeneries you have and what flowers you have. I took some of my Japanese maple tree that has the red, leaves on it to give some extra color. I took many different things out of my yard and just test them, put them in vases and see how long they last. And a lot of things, that you see typically from the flower shop are going to be things that you may grow in your yard, or even wildflowers that have just been cultivated. This is ligustrum. I have some Chinese fringe tree. I have some vinca, the vine vincas, different things like that around my yard that I've found. So I'm going to start putting them together and making the first one a little small nosegay out of just things from my yard and a couple of other things. You'll need some wire cutters, some scissors, some ribbon, some floral tape. It's like a waxy kind of tape that you can get even at the Dollar Tree. The idea is to be very budget conscious, and a lot of the girls nowadays for prom and different things like that are taking these small little bouquets instead of taking a corsage. So I just want to show you a couple of ways that you could do that and show you some of the differences between the silk and the fresh flowers. So these are my fresh little roses that I picked out of the yard. These are just, like the flower carpet or the knockout roses. They're no special rose in particular. So it is an ever-blooming rose, and in the spring they look especially pretty. And I wanted to make something out of this. So the first thing that I have to do is check all of my roses, make sure that they're not blown too wide open, meaning they've opened way too much, and the leaves are about to fall off the petals. And also, roses come with protective petals on the outer edges of the rose. So when you're doing an arrangement of any kind, you want to always make sure that you kind of pull those protective petals off, because a lot of times they're not real pretty. They're there to protect the interior of the rose, and so they can be a little rough and a little thick and all that kind of stuff. So I'm taking ligustrum, and yes, ligustrum is a big shrub and it is currently in bloom. But I'm using it as like a filler flower, like baby's breath or something of the sort. But I don't have baby's breath, so I'm using my ligustrum. I will say this. If you know people that may have allergies, do not use ligustrum if you're going to be doing this, because some people are highly allergic to it. I am not one of those folks, fortunately, so I can enjoy it because I do love my ligustrum. It's also called privet hedge. There's smaller wild privet hedges, especially around here where I live on the Mississippi Gulf Coast. Welcome to Ivycreates, and thank you for watching. I hope you subscribe, hit that notification bell, share with all of your friends that might enjoy this, and, all the good things. So you can see that I'm just kind of working this in my hand, and ideally for me, I like to have, several of these roses. These are small roses. So most of them you want to have about 5 to 7 roses. Preferably you want one in the center, and you want to surround it by some other roses so that it looks like it's full and, not too, I don't know how to put it, small and dinky. So we have the beautiful ligustrum, and I'm just putting it around, and it has big, thick, heavy leaves. So I do know that usually big, thick, heavy leaf items are going to last for a good long time. And I'm just adding them to make sure that also that you're pulling everything off the bottoms of the stems, and that is all the leaves and everything off the bottom of the stems, because it makes it easier to be able to hold it together. Now I will tell you this, if you're not used to doing this, your hand will end up cramping. That's just a thing. So you can take a small little piece of wire, or you can use your floral tape, but you can take the small piece of wire and wrap it around the base, and that'll hold it together for you and make it a little easier to deal with. And if you don't like something, you can trim it up. You can do the, wire however you want to do it. Like here, I'm wrapping the wire right up close to the neck of my little bouquet. And I'm just twisting it. You could use a twist tie. I just happened to use a little piece of copper wire because I had it. And you can see all the stems. You want to kind of hold them close together, and you do want to trim them when you get done. But first, I'm going to go ahead and wrap this with a little bit of my floral tape. Now the floral tape, you hold on to it until you start wrapping. And when you start wrapping, stretch it as you go and make sure it's good and tight, and keep wrapping it round and round, and it'll naturally kind of adhere to itself. So you can see I've got it nice and tight, and it holds everything in place. And then I want to trim off my bottom limbs, so that, the branch stems, so that they are even and easy to deal with. So the next one I'm going to do is also another red rose. This is going to be the hearts roses, which are my fave. If you like really rich dark reds and double open blooms like a garden rose, the hearts rose is the one for you, and it is by far my favorite. So all I'm doing now is taking some ribbon that I had, which was it's really like the kind you would use on an outfit or something, a sewing ribbon. But I like it and it's pretty, and so I'm just making a simple little big loop bow. If you want to know how to make a big loop bow, or any kind of bow really, I have 2 different videos on my page on YouTube that show you how to make a bow. You can check it out there, and I'm always happy to show you how to make a pretty bow. So I'm going to save this other piece because I'm going to wrap that around the bouquet later when I get done. And I really I don't know where this ribbon came from, but it's so pretty and so luxurious looking. So I'm going to take some of my eucalyptus as a base for my next bouquet. And I'm going to use my hearts roses. And like I said, if you see a little crinkling on the petals, these roses I would not normally use. But I just happened to have them and took them home from the flower shop. So I wanted to use these and give you an idea of what you're looking at as far as doing a little wedding bouquet. And typically in most weddings, you'll have the bride bouquet, then you'll have the bridesmaid or maid of honor bouquets, and then you might even have one for the flower girl. So you can see I stuck the bow in the center, and it was just, like I said, it was 4 little loops, and that's all. And I also stuck in a piece of ligustrum because I'm using that as if it were my baby's breath, because I've picked almost everything except for the hearts roses I picked out of my yard. So you can see I've got the little hearts roses, and they're not little, they're actually very large. And I'm going to put them together. I'm just deciding which ones are really good, and I'm pulling off some of those protector petals that are on the outer edges. And now I'm going to start adding them to the center of my bouquet. And it's basically how you feel about it. And you want to make sure that your ends are not too long on your stems, because it'll make it really hard to work with. So you want it just long enough to where, you have a comfortable hold on a bouquet. And so you can put it in a vase, because with fresh flowers, you're not going to wrap the base of it all the way to the bottom. You want to have enough space at the bottom of the limbs to be able to stick them in water so they can stay fresh overnight or however long it takes for your wedding or your event. So I am just kind of crisscrossing around the base of this and spin it at the same time, and that way you're always adding something to a different area and not the same area over and over. If you kind of twist the bouquet around as you go, it'll kind of move all the limbs or the stems for the flowers in a circular direction naturally. So just pay attention to that when you do it, and you can, once you feel comfortable with how it's going, you can put stuff wherever you want it. But you can see as I'm going along, I'm adding a little bit of greenery, a little bit of eucalyptus, a little bit of the ligustrum for the, small flowers and stuff. And I'm making sure that I'm peeling off all the leaves off those lower branches or the stems of the flowers. So this is some Chinese French flower, and I'm just adding that because it is a great little texture. It's got some dark color to it, and these roses are super, super dark red, which is amazing to me. I'm a jewel tone, dark colored kind of folks person, whatever you want to call it, and so anything that's got really dark is got my heart. And as well as the Japanese maple, it's also a red color. You can see there that I'm kind of just tucking it in. And then I've got my variegated vinca that I pulled up out of the flower bed. So you can always pull things up out of the flower bed. Never feel bad about that. But go around your yard, look and see what you think you might like to put in a bouquet and give it a try. That's what this is about, is I want you to give it a try. Now, there's things to be said for fresh and there's things to be said for silk. A lot of folks think that they can't make a silk flower arrangement look as pretty as they can fresh. I'm just going to show you in a few minutes how good you can make silk look. And the thing about silk is that you can work with it a lot longer, than you can with the fresh. If you like this video, please subscribe and hit that notification bell and all the good things. Share it with your friends. With the fresh, you're kind of one and done, meaning you might tear up the flowers if you work with them too long. So you want to get that done. But with a silk, you can actually take it, you can bend the flower, you can move the head, you can do all kinds of things with a silk flower. And they are making them so realistic nowadays that they can be quite beautiful, and in some cases a lot cheaper than the fresh flowers. In recent months and the past year, COVID has basically destroyed the flower industry because our flower prices are going through the roof. And I do mean through the roof. They are seriously, seriously expensive. In the next couple of weeks, I expect them to more than double in price, and that's before Mother's Day. So when you call up your florist and you say, hey, I want an arrangement for Mother's Day, don't be surprised if the minimum flower arrangement is $65, $70. It's just the cost of flowers have gone up really, really high. So that's another good reason for you to look into your yard and see, what you might like in your yard that you could use. Now you can see how this is done. I wrapped the floral tape around the base all the way down till about 4 inches below the end of the stems. And that is specifically so I can put it in a vase with a little bit of water and it'll last. And then when I get ready to, I can take it out, and I can always, take it out and hold it and do whatever. But you can see I had it sitting in just a little, I think a mason jar is what I put it in. So now I'm going to take a little dab of glue and dab the glue up underneath. And then I'm going to take my wired edge ribbon because that is so much easier to work with. I mean, you can do it with any, but I like using the wire edge. And I'm just wrapping it around where I did the floral tape. And I'm going to go to the bottom of that, and then I'm going to go back up again. And I'll go back up to the base of the bouquet. And then I will also put another dab of glue there. I'll cut it with the scissors and put another dab of glue to hold it in place. to hold the ribbons. So you can see now how it's done, and you might want to get some of those pearl ended corsage pins, and you can put them down the back of the bouquet if you want to make it look like pearl buttons. You can do all kinds of stuff, add some bling, whatever you want to do. Make it pretty and fun. You know, we don't have to be so serious about all of our things. We can make it fun as we want to make it. And that means add some sparkle, add some joy, add some magic, as I call it, the glitter. So now you can see what it looks like, and I'll have better pictures for you in just a minute, and then you can see also the smaller bouquet, and I just have that piece of eucalyptus sticking in the vase. It's not part of the bouquet. So stay tuned just a second and I'll have you some pictures, and then we'll move right into our silk bouquet. So this is the small one that I thought came out absolutely beautiful, and that is all stuff from my yard. And this is the bigger one with the hearts roses, and the hearts roses are the only thing that I actually got from the flower shop that I took home when I was at work. And you can see how I wrapped the base of the bouquet, and then I just tied that ribbon around into a little bow. So now I've got some Dollar Tree peonies. Peonies are $10, $15, $20 a piece per bloom, and they are not that big, okay? This is purple ranunculus. It's a silk. I also had some lavender pieces and some other white little pieces that kind of look like Veronica. But this is all silk or plastic, and like I said, the peonies came from the Dollar Tree. They came 6 to a bunch, and I actually took the bunches apart, and then I taped 2 peonies together to make it one bigger bloom, because I kind of felt like they were a little weak looking, so I wanted them to be more intense and bigger. And I'm just going to add to the side of that one of my little Veronica pieces, silk Veronica piece, and just adding it around the edges and the sides of my peony. Girls want these peonies in these bridal bouquets. They see all these things on Pinterest, and I gotta tell you, that stuff is so expensive. You can get this, and I think I may end up with maybe $30, $40 in this wedding bouquet that I'm about to do. And I'm going to show you my inspiration picture in just a little bit. But there's maybe $40, whereas if you get peonies, you're going to be paying $150, $250 for a wedding bouquet. And besides that, you don't know half the time, because I'm in the deep south, they don't grow around here. And that's more of a northern thing, and maybe California might grow some. But we don't grow them. We do have hydrangeas, though. So I am using some silk hydrangeas in this as well. And I do love hydrangeas. You can get those. And the real hydrangeas don't always last like they're supposed to. So sometimes it's better with silk. Because it does, you don't have to worry about it wilting or anything of the sort. And you can move it around, do how you want to. And this is a plum colored ranunculus that I have in there. And it was just really, really pretty. Most of this stuff comes from Dollar Tree. A little bit comes from Michael's that I got 70% off. So when I say I didn't spend maybe more than $40, I really didn't on, the amount of the flowers. So you can see how I'm starting that, and I'm putting the purple in the center. And the reason why is I have a particular inspiration photo, and a friend of mine had recently looked me up and it said, can you, make an arrangement or a bouquet for my stepdaughter? And I was like, yeah, sure. And then she showed me the bouquet, and I was like, oh my goodness, do you have any idea how much that cost? So, sometimes silk is actually the better option, and it lasts forever. You can actually take a silk bouquet and just wrap it in plastic, and it'll be there for all eternity, and your daughter can use it someday. It's just entirely up to you. And you can do so many things with it as well. So I have all this in my hand and I'm holding it in my hand, and I'm using the floral tape to wrap it as I go because my hand was getting so cramped because it's a lot to hold on to. I made several different bouquets recently, and I'm telling you, they were so big around and so just heavy as they could be. It was killing me. So do wrap and use your wire to make sure that you've got everything to stay in place where you want it to stay. That way you don't have to worry about it. This is my inspiration photo that I'm using. This is one of the ones she sent to me, and that's actually got lavender roses, veronica, peonies, white roses, and some tree fern, and let's see, I think that's about all that I really saw in it. And you know, it's beautiful, but it would cost a fortune to make nowadays, especially. So this is my inexpensive, not cheap, inexpensive looking, inexpensive not looking, but inexpensive bridal bouquet. So I've added a few more of the deep plum than what they had in the original bouquet because I did have extras, so I wanted to go ahead and add a few more. They only put one plum colored ranunculus in theirs. I'm putting 4 total, 1 in the center and 3 around the sides. And then I am also interspersing with that my veronica and my lavender and everything else. And I'm just, as I go and add a layer, I'm adding a layer of flowers, I wrap it with floral tape. Add another layer, wrap it with floral tape. And that's the easiest thing I can tell you how to do. You can check down below if there's anything that you see that you might want to use or anything. Please feel free to look down below and see where I got it from. You can click on the links or copy the link and paste it into your browser and go directly to the item and order it if you would like. Also, please leave me comments. Let me know what you think of this, what your opinions are. I would love to hear from you, and if you have any questions about this as well. So it is that time of the year. It is wedding season and prom season, and the girls in prom don't want corsages anymore. They want little nosegays. They want little bouquets to carry. So it's a really good skill to learn how to do. And it's not hard. It's really not. It's just a matter of holding it in your hand and wrapping it around and around. And you keep moving it around in circles until you think that it's really even. And the best part about the silks is if a flower ends up where you don't want it to be, you can move it because it's on a wire. It's not got a head that'll snap off or pop off like a fresh would. It's actually on a wire, so you can bend it however you want it bent to make it wherever you want it to go. Because a lot of times when you're wrapping your bouquets, things might come out of place a little bit, so you can still pull them and move them and be tough with it. You don't have to be gentle with this type of bouquet. These are also good for keepsake bouquets. If you didn't want to use this as your main bouquet, you can have a keepsake or a throwaway bouquet. Different types of things you can use them for. And this one is going to be larger because this is intended to be a wedding bouquet. But if you're doing different kinds, you can make them smaller or larger, however you want to do. Thank you so much for watching. I really do appreciate you being here. I'm glad you joined me today. And like I said, please leave me comments. Let me know what you think. Trying to get you some good insight on things. Yes, we keep getting notifications from our wholesalers that are saying, hey, we have no daisies, we have no this, we have no that. We cannot get any flowers. So Mother's Day is going to be a really interesting thing this year. I was like, well, maybe they'll go back to having corsages for Mother's Day because they haven't done that in a while. But yeah, Mother's Day is going to be a real trip when we don't have that many flowers. Fortunately, in my flower shop where I work, at the Village Florist, they have so many gift items in addition to flowers that they'll be able to cover whatever. And things like orchids and stuff like that you can also send that are absolutely beautiful. But we have a lot of gift items, anything from jewelry to candy to teddy bears to yard stuff, yard decorations, all kinds of goodies. So, don't think that your florist only has flowers. They usually have a lot of different things. I am currently working, a couple of days at the Village Florist in Gulfport, Mississippi, and I enjoy it more than anything. I think I have, at the end of this video, I'll have a picture of a funeral spray I made this week that was, I think, 8.5 feet tall. It was absolutely enormous and very different, and I'll have a few other pictures back there too, even one of a wedding bouquet that I did in fresh. It was about $150 bouquet, I believe. So the thing is though, we keep hearing prices are going up, prices are going up. So silk flowers are going to be the in thing very soon. So now I am just going back and I am wrapping and wrapping my floral tape just to make sure that I've got everything. And I'm also cutting the wires for the stems of the flowers. I'm trying to cut those and keep them fairly even. And I'm just going to add finishing touches to this bouquet. I've got some long, oh God, I don't even know what it's called. But it's like amaranthus or something like that. That's really long and pretty and purpley, to hang down below. And then I'm also going to wrap it in the plum colored ribbon. And on the camera, I will tell you this. The camera makes it look like it's a navy blue or something. It's not. It's plum colored ribbon. It does match the flowers. And I wrap the base of the bouquet with it and then tie a real loose loopy bow to kind of match my inspiration photo that I had. So you can see I've started adding some of those crazy long things underneath it, and they're calling those other purple stems, they called them willow, but I've never seen a willow that looked like that ever in my entire life. So whatever, to each his own. They were from the Dollar Tree, and that's all that matters, is that they didn't cost a fortune. But they are very pretty. So I'm just cutting down some willow pieces because I wanted to add some more, and the different colors of purple, lavender, and plum. I hope you've enjoyed these projects, several projects in a row really quickly. Like I said, if you have questions or anything, or you want to see something in particular, let me know. I have a lot of different skills and I am very willing to share because I love to learn and I love to teach. So now I'm going to just be wrapping some more of this around the base, and I'm kind of holding my floral tape, and as I put in a piece of willow or whatever maybe, I wrap a little bit more around it, just trying to get it all wrapped up. I hope soon to be better skilled at the whole video thing. I'm working on it, and I should have a different angle of camera soon. I just got to get it hooked up. I've got it, and I will have it hooked up for you guys very soon. So you can see how it looks and how pretty it is. I'm going to get out another willow stem because I thought it needed just a little bit more. I'm more of an over-the-top person when it comes to design. I'm always going to be doing the biggest and the baddest and the more over-the-top type of design look. All right, so I'm just making sure that I've got everything really good and wrapped and gluing the bottom on my bouquet. And because sometimes, you know, the floral tape can come apart a little bit. So just add a little dab of glue if it does that, and it'll be just fine. So the next thing I'm going to do is take my plum colored ribbon, put a little dab of glue, stick it up underneath there, and try not to burn the living tar out of yourself because it really hurts. And then I'm going to start wrapping it just like I did the floral tape. I'm wrapping it all the way around the base. And if you need to add a little extra dab of glue here and there, you can do that as well. So I'm going to go to the very bottom end of my bouquet. And it's kind of tricky when you get down there. You want to wrap it just a little bit further beyond the end of your stems down there. And that is primarily so you can come back around and wrap it back to the top, because you don't want it open on the end. You want everything closed off. You don't want anything to show. You want your bride to be able to handle it however she wants to handle it and sit it however she wants to sit it, and it not show any of the works of how you did it. And be, you know, of course, picture ready and everything. So when you get it wrapped from the bottom back to the top, you put another dab of glue to make sure that it is nice and stable and it's not going to go anywhere. And like I said, on the other bouquets, you can get some corsage pins that have the pearl ends on them, and you stick it straight down into your you know, like from where the top of the bouquet is down to the end of the bottom of the bouquet. You stick your pins straight down so that they'll go down, and you put them in a row to make it look like jewelry. Or you can get some of that Dollar Tree pearl ribbon that they have, and you can glue it around that as well. Make it as blingy as you want to make it. I hope you've really enjoyed this project as much as I did enjoy doing it for you. And we'll see it soon. I'll get the final product pictures in just a minute, and you'll get to see how pretty they look. And I have my daughter actually holding the bouquet for me so that you could see how it looks when someone's holding it. Thank you so much for being here and watching, and have a wonderful day, weekend, night, whatever it is. Be happy and full of joy. Hi, did you click that subscribe button and the notification bell? Well, if you don't hit that notification bell, you will miss out on our Thursday videos. So please go ahead, click it, and you'll be able to watch our videos that are coming up.